Hello and welcome to JaguarMessenger. I'm Danielle and I thought we would do a quick energy check-in and get a collective reading on what we can expect right now with all of these shifting and transitioning energies that we're experiencing. Okay. Okay, well, we're definitely seeing this idea of transitioning energies here. And I think for a lot of us, it's been feeling very emotional, unsettling. Like maybe there's been some things resurfacing, coming up, a sense of dissatisfaction. And I feel like this has a lot to do with a sense of anticipation and a sense of feeling some of these energies that we cannot see, some of these energies that are beyond tangible reach. But despite not seeing them clearly, doesn't mean we're not feeling the energy of this tension. I'm getting this really clear sense of a string being drawn tight, being drawn like really taut to the point where it's like vibrating because there's so much stress and tension on it. I feel like we're in like this moment before the action takes place. And what we're seeing, what we can see before us is like the discordant feelings, the things that don't feel like they're fitting, the things that are the ending, the crumbling, the walking away, the deep diving. We're seeing those things. We're seeing the uncertainty for sure, but we're not yet seeing what comes after the moment everything starts, what comes as soon as all the energies align, as soon as there is synergy and synchronicity returning from this place of tension. All of this energy, all this pent up energy leads into the next, leads into the flow. It's like floodwaters building up behind a dam. And there's all this roaring and this discordant, rough, abrasive energy that builds up behind the dam, behind the floodgates before they're opened. And then there's just flow and an intensity to start for sure. But then the river returns to normal, it returns to its relative peace. And I'm getting the sense that when all of that clears, when all of that stills or comes to a relative still, what is remaining is this sense of power, this sense of autonomy, this sense of autonomy, of sovereignty, of taking control of what is ours, of what is important. Because there has been all of this building, all of this slow growth, all of this tending to all the things that needed to be arranged, that needed to be settled, that needed to be begun, started, sprouted out of sight, behind the scenes, that wasn't before the eyes of others. And all of that took place prior to the entrance of this new incoming energy. And as a result of this, huge ending and shifting and momentum to move forward, we end up finally sitting on our throne, in our power, in control of our wild, in control of the wild, while honoring it, while not aiming to change the nature of it, but still being in a state of firm control over it, I guess is the best way I have of explaining it. And ultimately, this is the result of finding balance. And perhaps with the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups paired together here, in alignment like this, it could be the coming together of two parties, of a predominantly feminine and predominantly masculine energy. It could also just be the union of these aspects of yourself, a union of these two perspectives and these two approaches to the internal world, to the emotional state of things, the emotional state of your experience. It's interesting because there's a great deal of watery energy here. The bulk of it is these watery energies. But what I'm seeing is that on top of what may feel like an unsteady foundation, on top of a foundation built from flow, there is something solid to be built. There is something solid to be gained, achieved, recognized, and stood in. I'm going to pull a couple more cards and see if we can get a little more clarity from this. Okay. Well, there's a continuation of this watery emotional energy with more cups coming out here. It's very interesting that these two have come out paired together again. There was another recent reading that I did, I believe I shared it on TikTok and Instagram, where these came out together, and I've also had the pair of them come out together in readings that I've pulled just for myself recently, and it's an interesting combination of energy. But I see like a reflection of this orb, this opportunity, this idea that she's carrying as being like the core of this imagery of the world, of the universe, of this connectivity. And I think the first thing that these cards are saying is that in this turbulent time of change, in this time of shifting energies, of transformative energies, that it is of great importance to give yourself space to rest and reflect and let thoughts, ideas, memories, emotions move through you. And I get the distinct sense that if you don't set aside the time to make space for this, it will become, or could very well become, overwhelming to the point that you are forced to make the space for this. Because it could just become too much if you're trying to set it aside in order to press forward with all the other things in life, right? But if you give yourself this quiet, if you make this space within to hear yourself, to recognize all of the thoughts, all of the emotions, all of the concerns, and even turmoil or insecurity that is playing it within as everything seems to shift and change around you. There is something that is waiting to be discovered. There is something that's waiting to come to the forefront or waiting to be presented to you by someone else when we allow ourselves to be quiet enough. And especially with this in the reverse here, when I say presented by someone else, it may not be a person within our physical reality. It may be perhaps our higher self, perhaps guides, spirits, other like behind the veil entities of that sort. And with the world in reverse here, I think that it has the potential to create significant internal shifts at the very least. Actually, with the way that I've laid these cards out here, it may be the thing that reveals what we've been seeking for, how to access what we've been seeking for, the hidden piece that we haven't been able to find in what's been before us to this point. I'm seeing that we are still being promised that we will reach the things that we seek, that we will reach things that we dream of, the things that our heart has been calling for and hoping for. But it requires a state of surety of connectivity within. It requires making peace with different aspects of ourselves, making peace with the fear, the hope, the faith, and allowing them to coexist so that we can walk from our current state to something new. Right now, we're existing between these two doorways. Right now, we're on the path, but we cannot see what lies before us yet. It's a journey of discovery, and we all must take it.